Okay, as everyone gets their seat, and we always have latecomers. So anyways, I want to welcome Bonnie Addario from the Go-To Foundation. And I'm back in the saddle here. And thank you, Summer, for covering for me. But I want to welcome everyone back. And it's a kind of a special night because we have a lung cancer, not just an advocate, but a survivor. I don't know if that's the correct word that Bonnie uses, but
I'll use whatever word you have for it.
okay. All right. So, and you know how I always like to start with the poll questions just to see who's in the audience. So I'm gonna launch the poll. What medication are you currently taking? This gives Bonnie an idea of who the audience is also. Okay. And the polling, share the results. As usual, alectinib is 70%.
Yep.
And berdatinib is 15%. And Libreno, for some reason, is not as high as I thought it would be. Only at 7%. Chemotherapy at 7%. So I'm gonna stop sharing those. We'll go to the next question. Your length of your diagnosis. And Bonnie, you'll see probably we have a lot of people with, since they're on alectinib, I'm assuming they're lower in.
Yeah, not
More
surprising.
newly diagnosed.
All right. So I'm going to end this poll real quick, share the results, and there you go. 44% are 1 to 2 years. 22% is 1 year or under. 3 and 4 years is 19%. And then we got a random, the last three, but I'm going to end this poll and go to the next question. This is how many TKAs have you taken? And you can also indicate if you had chemotherapy as part of your treatment or immunotherapy for those who've taken that. So I'm assuming with alectinib, I'm going to be a genius here and predict that it's going to be 1 TKI, but we'll see. 68% is 1 TKI. Then we drop down to, actually, 26% of us in the audience have taken chemo also. 2 TKIs are 18%, and then 3 and 4 TKIs are pretty close. So, and I think I have one more question. Well, that was easy. What's the stage of your diagnosis? And Bonnie, I don't think you'll be surprised at this.
Right, 4.
What would you say, 4?
4.
That's probably why you're talking to us.
Yeah. Until we get some
All right.
the ability to get screening and diagnosis, I think that's unfortunately going to be the case since there's typically no symptoms.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Before I turn it over to Gina, the one announcement I do have is on our summit's coming up on the 31st, which is a Saturday and the 1st, correct? Is that the right dates?
Yep, that's it.
So Friday night, we have 2 big pregame parties that we're going to be having on Zoom, 12 to 2 o'clock for maybe some Europeans to come Zoom in with us, and 8 to 9 Eastern time. So we've got a lot of fun Zoom games and good things happening. So anyways, Gina, the mic is all yours.
Great. Thank you so much, Mark, and happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks for being here. This is actually our very last Sunday night ALK talk. So we saved the very best for last here until September. We're going to take a break on Sunday nights, but Mark has still got all the amazing programming that's going on during the week. So still join us for yoga and would you have any cooking in August, Mark?
No cooking in August.
Oh, no cooking in August. Okay.
Unless someone wants to volunteer.
Yes, we always need volunteers. So we have some great things that lined up, yoga and chair yoga, and I can't think of the one that's where you visualize things. What is that
Guided imagery and art therapy. So
yes. guided imagery and art therapy. So it's all some great stuff. I'm going to put in the chat the link to register for the summit that Mark was talking about. So you don't have to worry during the end of July and August. We're going to have some amazing speakers from our summit, from all the research that we funded, and some of the next things that's coming up for ALK positive patients. So you don't want to miss the summit. The first 500 people get free swag bags and some really cool stuff. So hopefully you'll register soon. We're getting right up there to the 500 mark. So hopefully we can get everybody registered in time, and we're going to have a really great event. Like Mark said, we're going to do, it's 5 o'clock somewhere on Friday night. On Saturday, we've got a fun-filled day full of research and hope. And then on Sunday, we have some speakers telling us really about how to tell your story and ways for us to connect as patients. Unfortunately, we can't be together yet, but next year we're expecting to have an in-person and a virtual summit. So lots of exciting things to come. If you haven't checked us out already, check us out on alkpositive.org. And oh, Kirk is saying an email is going out tomorrow. So make sure you're checking your spam if you don't get an email from us for lots of great details about the summit. So without further ado, I am so excited to introduce my friend and amazing advocate, survivor, Bonnie Addario. And we'll just start it off with Bonnie, will you just tell us about yourself before cancer?
Oh goodness. Okay. Well, I won't bore you with, all the things I was, doing before I was, but I was actually in the petroleum business, in the oil business, and managed to work my way up to a great position. And I actually loved my work. I absolutely loved it. I have 3 children. I have 9 grandchildren. But most importantly, working my way up with all of that stuff in between, I lost 5 family members to lung cancer. My mother was diagnosed after I was, and she passed away. And her brother and sister both died of lung cancer. And after my mom died, my daughters went into my mom's bedroom, and she had, God bless her, my parents didn't have much, and she had a little treasure box where she kept her important papers, and it's not like she had important tax papers in there or anything, but in there was an envelope from from UCSF in San Francisco, where my grandfather died. And we were told at the time that he died of pneumonia. Guess what the death certificate said? Lung cancer. So those were the 5 family members. My daughters are already in a screening program. I have a son who refuses to get in a screening program, but we nag him all the time. So, that's pretty much what my life was like.
Well, Bonnie, you have just been an incredible advocate from the very beginning. And when you were diagnosed, tell us a little bit about that and why you decided to really take on lung cancer advocacy.
Well, when I was diagnosed, it took forever. The tumor I had was actually on my heart. And, when I finally got to a doctor, they were all looking for, heart issues, and they tested me for everything under the sun, and everybody said, you're fine. One neurosurgeon said, you have a little disc in the back of your neck, and that's probably what's causing the pounding in your chest. But it was actually that tumor that was squeezing my aorta. And I had gone through several doctors and several doctor visits. I don't believe in coincidence. I mean, I don't believe anything is, a coincidence. I was reading the newspaper one day while I was waiting to find someone that would help me figure out what this pounding in my chest was. And there was a little article in the newspaper, the local newspaper here, talking about this thoracic surgeon that was visiting the community hospital down here and teaching the general surgeons there how to do thoracic surgery, and specifically lung cancer. Well, I knew I had lung cancer. I just needed to find somebody to tell me that I did, so we could get started treating it, right? So I called the hospital. I was actually, on the foundation board there, and I said, I have to meet this guy. So the next day, I met with him, and he looked at my CT scans, and he said, Bonnie, I know a lot of people have told you there's nothing they could do for you, but I want to ask you a question. And I said, what's that? And he said, what do you want from me? And I said, David, his name was David Jablons. I said, David, if I have lung cancer, which I really thoroughly believe that I do, I don't want to die because I did nothing. I want to push all the envelopes, and I want to push, I'll take whatever you have to throw at me. I don't care if it's chemotherapy, or there weren't a whole lot of targets then because this was 17 years ago. And I said, just do it, you know, go in there and do whatever you need to do. So I had chemotherapy and radiation. I had chemotherapy every Friday, had radiation Monday through Friday at the same time for 9 weeks or more. And he told me if they could move the tumor far enough away from my heart, they would operate. So they were able to move it a tad. So there was David, the thoracic surgeon, a heart surgeon, and a vascular surgeon, 14 hours of surgery. And then while I was open, they had targeted radiation from the ceiling. So I got more radiation. And here I am today. And the reason I tell all of you this is take it all. Don't say no. Don't argue. I am an advocate of second and third opinions. If you're not seeing a specialist, you know, you need to be seeing a lung specialist, somebody that knows everything about lung cancer. And if you can't change doctors, you can at least get a second opinion. And the people that are giving second opinions are more than willing to work with physicians that need help. So, you know, but I remember one day sitting in the Barca Lounger, you know, when they were first doing that infusion, which is like, holy shit, I've got cancer. You know, that's when it really, I'm sorry for swearing. That was the first time when they stuck that needle in my arm. I thought, oh my God, I have cancer. So then, of course, I got on to see Dr. Google and on the internet. And everything I saw was horrible. I mean, there was nothing encouraging there at all, other than, you know, get ready to die. So I made a promise to myself in that Barca Lounger that day that if I made it through the knothole, I would do something to change the stigma, because this is the United States of America. And we're not the kind of people that let people die just because they had a life. You know, they had some kind of a habit, or they ate too much, or they smoked, or they did whatever. So I made it through the knothole, and here I am today. So there.
I follow up with one question, and that is, what was your mental state? Was give it to me, I'm ready to take it,
Yeah.
and to fight. So when you go through that, and you have other people that you know, where they take the fight on, and then they just are ready to give up, like, what would you say to that person?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. And for sure, don't give up if somebody tells you to, or somebody tells you that you should. You know, keep fighting, keep going to, you know, more and more opinions, talk to more and more people. You know, if you're fortunate enough to have an ALK marker, you know, talk to the experts in that. You know, take it past your current physicians and the people that are helping you now. Find some people that have some different answers or some different options for you.
One of the really cool things that I remember when I got diagnosed, the first thing that I got handed was a book that Bonnie Addario created. And it was kind of like, is it like the ABCs of lung cancer? I can't remember the name of the book.
Yeah. I don't know, patient handbook. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just called a patient, but it had everything that you could possibly think about lung cancer, what radiation was, what chemo was, what targeted therapies were. And I just was so uneducated about it. And, you know, I just saw this like person, Bonnie, on there who was just, I felt like untouchable, you know, this big, huge lung cancer advocate. But from the beginning, I don't even remember how we got connected, but she's one of those people, and she doesn't do this just for me, but she does it for everybody that she comes in contact with. She just loves them and wants to find the second and third opinion for them so that they can get the best care. She doesn't care what biomarker you have or anything like that, but she just cares so much about patients. And I've seen her reach out to patient after patient. And so, Bonnie, I wanted you to just think about some of the people, and I know this is like an everyday occurrence, but think about one that particularly hit you as something that was unique and somewhere where you really felt like you were able to make an impact on that person's life and diagnosis.
Okay, there was one recently. I mean, there's been many. I'll tell you later a story about a young girl in Prague who wanted me to help her get her mother a second opinion in Prague, and I thought, okay, let's see, we'll work on it.
But I bet you did it.
We did it. We did it. We absolutely did it. We found Dr. Rafal in Prague. So if anybody on the phone here or is watching and they're from Prague, go see Dr. Rafal. He's an amazing oncologist in Prague. But there was one recently, and I was just horrified, absolutely horrified. I don't know how she found me. It didn't matter. She called me and she said that she was, going to this particular hospital, community hospital in San Francisco, and she just felt like she was dying, and she was diagnosed with lung cancer, and she was a never smoker, and she didn't understand why. And she is about 49 years old, and whatever, it doesn't matter, smoker, never smoker, whatever. But they didn't give her genomic processing. They started giving her radiation before they even gave her a bronchoscopy. I mean, this set of physicians, I could have helped that lady without any medical, knowledge at all. That you start radiation before you even have all the answers. They didn't know if she had a targeted marker, blah blah blah. So I was helping her, getting these questions to her oncologist. I said, you need genomic profiling. You shouldn't. I don't even know why you're on radiation. I'm not a doctor and I can't prescribe things, but sometimes I just have to get in there and say what I really believe to push them to go further. So I finally, I really believed she had the EGFR mutation. She had all of the things pointing to that. So I got her an appointment. I called David Joblons back to the rescue. And I said, David, I've got a patient here. I explained all this stuff that was happening. I said, you got to see her right now because they're killing her. You've got to see her. You've got to see her. And he goes, 4:00, tell her to come and see me. So I did. He got her hooked up with the oncologist up there at UCSF. And sure enough, EGFR mutation, immediately put on Tagrisso. She went from being on death's bed to taking a targeted marker. I don't know what would have happened to her had she not found me, because she was giving up. She was frustrated. She was sad. She was overwhelmed just with the diagnosis, and of course she was going along with what they were telling her to do. And, there's way too much of that out there. I saw the statistic for stage 4. That's where we have to work. That's where we have to work. People shouldn't be diagnosed at stage 4. They should be diagnosed way before that. We have to work on early detection. I want to find it in the blood before we see it on a CT scan. Lots of things. I'm thinking of something right now to do a trial where you do the genomic profiling the same time you do the CT scan, and then look at them both. See if you find the genomic marker before you see something on the CT scan. That proves we can find it much earlier. But I mean, these are the kind that we can't accept all of these stage 4 patients. We can't accept that as standard of care. It's not. It's terrible.
Yeah, I agree completely, Bonnie. And there's some people who are working on ways to really screen and find this at an earlier stage where we can have more successful results. Bonnie, as you look at this screen, you can see the video of some of the people and see the names, and the pictures and the faces don't always describe exactly how amazing this community of people is, and how they really work together to fight this disease, and we lean on each other to really support one another. We information share as much as we can. And just like you said, that, you know, depending on where you live, oftentimes, you know, tells the story of if you live, and there isn't the same standard of care throughout the world. And so, or even throughout the United States for that matter.
Right.
And so we do depend on each other to information share. And you know, the theme of our summit is Stronger Together. And I know that that's something that is close and dear to your heart, that you've always talked to me about, and how, you know, lung cancer advocacy organizations working together, that's how we're going to be stronger, and that's how we're going to fight the disease. Could you just address that and kind of talk about some of the things that you feel about being together?
Well, you know, I see way too much of, you know, that's mine, that was my idea, you know, what are you doing? And, you know, those things. I just really believe that we should focus on doing more things together. We should have our own summit, bring advocacy together, and sit down and have a serious discussion about where we can help each other. You know, it's, you know, we're settling for stage 4. And what we're doing now is not working. We're all working in separate silos, and we're all doing similar things, funding similar research. We don't need to fund similar research. If somebody's already funding that, we need to fund something else and not waste money on 7 trials that are exactly the same.
Absolutely. We have a question in the question box that just really asks about your family members. And did you, Bonnie isn't actually ALK positive. It asked if your family members knew they were ALK positive. She's not actually ALK positive, but she cares about our community, and she cares about the entire lung cancer
Absolutely.
community. Even if you don't have a biomarker, you matter. And her kind of saying is, no one, oh gosh, no one, I totally forgot it. I'm so sorry. Forgive my my chemo brain.
That's okay.
Everyone empowered, no one
ignored.
That's it. I'm so sorry. But yes, Bonnie, could you just talk about how your family members are getting screened?
Yeah, they had to go through a pulmonologist, because, you know, they're too young to be in the screening program, because 50 is stupid. So and this pulmonologist just happened to have been mine, and still is my pulmonologist. She put them, you know, she just makes sure they get the scan. And
Okay.
they get it annually.
So if people have a family history, they can actually get screened?
Yeah, they can. Yes, they can. And you have to find a pulmonologist that's willing to do that. And it's ridiculous not to. It's ridiculous not to, because if they have any kind of symptoms, if they're presenting with a cough or short of breath or what have you, their pulmonologist should be giving them a scan anyway, you know, whether it was involved in a screening program or not, because it's the right thing to do. You know, when a patient comes in with symptoms, you treat the symptoms, you know, and as well as the patient themselves. And Gina, you know this as well as I do. Way too many young people, especially, are going presenting with everything I just said, and they go in and they end up, you know, their primary physician or their pulmonologist or whoever, you know, gives them antibiotics. And then they come back, you know, 3 months later, and they still have the same symptoms. More antibiotics, stronger antibiotics, whatever. And before you know it, a year has passed, and they're stage 4. They're stage 4 now. And if we would have given them a CT scan upon presentation of those particular issues, they might not have, you know, been stage 4. And that makes me crazy.
I know. I think that that's probably the case for a lot of people who are on this call too, that they had, you know, a hard time getting diagnosed, you know, in the beginning. And that was certainly the case for me. And I blame it on the stigma of lung cancer. that it's associated with smoking. And doctors told me at 38 years old that there's no way that I could have lung cancer. And that was the first thing I asked from my biopsies. Do you think it's cancer? And they're like, absolutely not. You're a half marathon runner. You know, no, this is either pneumonia or histoplasmosis. This is not lung cancer. And I think that if you ask most people on this call, they would say the same thing, that they had a hard time getting diagnosed because of the stigma that's associated with lung cancer. Do you think there's a chance for us, you know, even when we look at screening criteria for lung cancer, it says you have to smoke this much, you have to be this age. Do you think there's ever going to be a time when we can really have early screening and diagnosis for the #1 cancer killer of men and women?
Yes, when we all work together and demand it. When we all pull together for a common purpose, and there's no better common purpose than what you just said. You know, no one that has those symptoms should be not denied a CT scan. You know, and an X-ray is worthless, because tumors, you know, can hide behind the heart, they can hide behind the ribs, and wait, you need a CT scan, and we can work together and go in masses and have a mass program to do that. We've got stuff that says demand a scan all over it, but we have to stick together as patients.
Absolutely.
Ourselves.
Together, all of us together.
Yeah, all of us together for a common program.
There's a patient on here who kind of told her story a bit. And one of the pieces of the story is, she started on a targeted therapy. It worked great, but now it stopped working. What do you tell those patients when they progress? It's one of the scariest points of your life. And I remember when I first got diagnosed, I was like, I'm going to be the first ALK positive patient to be cured. And then it was crushing when I had, and at first everything worked great, but it was crushing when I had progression. What do you tell those people?
Well, you know what I tell those people.
Yes, I do, but I want you to tell everybody else.
It's like, no, it's not over. It's not over. And don't let it be over. Go find every expert in ALK positive lung cancer and see all of them if you have to. Do whatever you need to do, but you don't need to go far. If you see the right ones, they will work with you and tell you what all of your options are. And there's still a lot of options out there and a lot of clinical trials. And you need to go to your physician loaded with information. So if they don't know it, you can give it to them.
Well, I think that's a great thing too, just saying we have to advocate for ourselves, don't we?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, because there's nobody better going to do it than yourself.
Yeah. And Shoma was just saying that she was also one of those ones who had a hard time getting diagnosed, and they actually gave her quite a bit of antibiotics, 3 rounds before, she actually got diagnosed. So I think that's a story a lot of times, but, that was one of the things that you always told me is that, get a second opinion, get the best of the best and figure out who they are. And once you do that, you'll be given hope, which I certainly was. And I wanted to bring up your book, The Living Room. If you guys haven't actually had the chance to go to a virtual living room from the Go-To Foundation, when I first met Bonnie, she was actually the founder of the Addario Foundation and Alchemy, which is kind of like the scientific and research portion of her organization. And then her organization joined with LCF,
Lung Cancer Alliance.
Lung Cancer Alliance, and they became the Go-To Foundation for lung cancer. And our group, ALK Positive, actually worked with Go-To Foundation to fund some research for combination therapy to prevent ALK positive resistance. So we were so thankful to the Go-To Foundation. But one of the cool things about this book is that all of the proceeds go completely to lung cancer research. When I was recently in the CVICU, I asked my husband to bring this to me because I was scared. And I mean, just to be honest, and I went into cardiac tamponade, and I was just thinking, I need some hope. And this book tells you story after story of people with lung cancer who it looked like there wasn't another possibility, but somehow a way was made. And there was so much hope in this book. But I wanted you to talk about this, why you wanted to do this, and just kind of what was your inspiration, and how did you choose the people to be in this? That had to be hard.
Yeah, well, I was just at a point in my life where I'm sick and tired of the world saying, well, you smoked, you deserved it. You don't deserve the research. And, and even if they're not that blunt about it, they mean it. And I wanted to write a book that would resonate with people that know nothing about lung cancer. This isn't a book for somebody with lung cancer, although I guess maybe it is too. But my goal was to let the public know that people with lung cancer are people just like them. And so I had 21 people in the book, and I was very careful to consider gender, to consider age, to consider targeted markers, and ethnicity. So if you read the book, you will find all of those things in there, every single one of those things. So, and it was very hard to choose the people, but I had a formula, and then here we were. It's time. It's time. No more stage 4. No more.
I love that. That's definitely my dream.
People get to stage 4.
Yeah, definitely. That's my dream as well. Mark had a question for you. Mark, are you okay to ask?
I had to make sure that it wasn't
and I think we all need to give Mark a clap, because if you remember, he just got done with surgery, and we missed him last week, and last ALKtALK, and we're so happy he's back. Yay, Mark!
And he had quite a surgery. So
yeah. In the old days, stage 4 lung cancer, would have been turned down at a tumor board for neck dissection, because I had brain surgery in 2016, and I was turned down at a very large hospital in Michigan because I was stage 4. So we've come a long way, and I thank you for that, because I know you've been advocating for us. But as an outsider looking in, the alphabet soup, I call it, of the lung cancer world, of the agencies that are trying to help us, what would you say is, you kind of led up to that a little bit in your last question, but as a person who wants to go ahead and volunteer or advocate, what would your advice be to those people?
Really dig in before you make a decision and find out what they're really doing, rather than what they say they're doing. Look and see if what their mission is. You'll know, but you have to dig in. You just don't go to a website and make a decision doing that. Ask other people, ask for referrals, ask other people to give you their opinion that actually work there. Right? So, don't make the decision without exploring, why you chose these people or why you're considering these people. It's no different than finding a job.
And you made a comment to me in the pre-meeting, how when you do something and you do something that impacts people, it's like the best medicine.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The people on this call, they come to these calls because, and between Facebook and these phone calls and other events, it's amazing to me how much information that we share and the goodness that comes from us being a community. And
and it's about community. It really is all about community. When I was diagnosed, it was 17 years ago. I've been at this for 17 years. And there was no community. there was really nothing out there. So that's another reason why, I started what we're doing. There was a longevity out there, but it wasn't the same longevity that exists now. But both of us were doing very little to, we're just learning, what needed to be done, let alone diving in there and getting things done. But the good news is now, good and not so good news is we have lots of places for patients to go, which is good. And then the thing that I want more, that I keep saying over and over and over again, I know for your summit, what is your tagline? It's better together.
Stronger together. Yep.
Stronger together. And I've been saying better together, for the longest time. I just think, we need to have our own summit. We need to sit down and say, what are the things we can do together? We don't have to stop doing what we're doing. We don't have to, minimize that at all. But I really do believe there's things that we can do all together, like no more stage 4.
I went to it was a conference on Zoom. Gina was there with other oncogene lung cancer patients. And we were talking to the FDA about how unfair it is to go to trials and have to travel. And during COVID, it was,
right.
When COVID was happening, it was okay. We could do telehealth. But then all of a sudden, the rules changed again. Well,
right.
What's your opinion how we can fight that?
Can you ask your question again, Mark?
Well, I'm going to flip it to Gina because she just had a firsthand experience of this.
Okay.
Well, I think so. When I first got diagnosed, I was so excited. I was a nurse and I didn't know much about lung cancer at all. But the very first thing my doctor said is, you need to do this study called the Genomics of Young Lung, which Alchemy put on. And I was so excited because the researcher called me, went through the questions with me, said, hey, just send your urine and your blood off and to a lab and we're going to analyze them. They asked me for permission. And I was like, this is the most awesome research ever. They came to my house, they got the stuff, and I just assumed that that's how all clinical trials are. But a lot of you know that lorlatinib has now failed me, and Bonnie was one of the first ones to make sure that I got the absolute best care and best opinions from people. But I've been really, really shocked to find out how much is actually required of patients to participate in clinical trials. They're not all like the Genomics of Young Lung. They don't make it easy like what you guys did for patients. So I think that's what Mark is asking is, how can we make this better? Do you have ideas about that to make clinical trials easier?
1,000. Similar to what we did, we started doing, people told us, when we told them what we were doing for the Genomics of Young Lung, they said, you can't do that. And we did, it was a global study. What we did was we found young patients that had lung cancer, regardless of where they were. We sent the patient a kit, and the patient took the kit to their physician, put the blood in the kit, sent it back to us. If they had never had genomic profiling, that tissue and blood went straight to Foundation Medicine. If they had it, it went straight to Dana-Farber for our trial. We found, and so the patient never left their house. They never had to leave. And what we discovered in this cohort of patients was 86% under 40 years old had a targeted marker, when only 25% or less than 20% in the total lung cancer community have a targeted marker. So these patients, and they also were almost all never smokers. They were very athletic. They were the complete antithesis of somebody that you thought, had lung cancer. So now we're doing a similar thing for another trial to find out the epidemiology for this particular cohort of patients. And this isn't a commercial for our foundation right now, but we're doing the same simple things and involving the patients, sending, we had a little girl, a young girl, who lived in Australia. And she wanted to be in that genomics of young lung study so bad. And her doctor would not send the blood back to the United States. So you know what she did? She took an airplane to the United States with her husband and her children. And she came to San Francisco. She came to our office and we were hugging and kissing. And oh my God, you know, it was just crazy. And then we sent a phlebotomist to her hotel room to get the blood so she could be in the trial.
That's incredible. And that brings up a really great point. And one of the things that I've noticed as being a clinical trial participant is it's really frustrating to me. My clinical trial is about 200 miles away and I have to travel the 3-hour drive. And I'm like, what am I getting done? So I might get an EKG, something that could be done in the comfort of my own home. I might get a CBC, which could be done in any lab. It doesn't have to be done at a particular lab. And so I'm so glad to see that, you know, you guys are doing this. And one of the things you may not know about that has been absolutely phenomenal is the Alchemy, Bonnie's foundation that looks into the scientific research, does this program for ALK positive specific patients called Spacewalk. And Spacewalk will give you a free comprehensive genomic sequencing whenever you have progressed. So if there's a chance that, you know, insurance isn't paying for this, or you just want to help other patients so that we can learn more about the genomic profiling of ALK positive patients, you can do this test completely free. I've actually done it 2 times. The first time they send you a kit and send it to your home, or you can take it to a phlebotomist, or they can even have a phlebotomist come to your house to draw the blood, and you get the results of the next gen sequencing. The second time I did it, when I progressed, unfortunately, I progressed like 5 times on 5 different targeted therapies. But the second time I did it, I didn't get the results, but they took the results. Right now, you guys might recognize the name Dr. Mark Awad. It used to be Jeff Oxnard, who is in charge of it, but now it's Mark Awad has taken it since Jeff went over to Foundation Medicine. And it's really amazing because they take the ALK resistance mutations and they learn about them to help other patients. So if you don't know about Spacewalk, you can just Google "go to Spacewalk" and you'll get all the information about it. And I would recommend it. It's completely free and amazing service that go to.
It's an opportunity for you to help others, you know. So yeah, and you know, us starting that, more and more people are doing it now, you know, doing the phlebotomist. A lot of people did it during COVID, you know, where, you know, cancer patients were having a hard time going in, and whether it was for a trial or going in to get their annual screening and stuff. They're starting to do it now more and more. And there's going to be more and more things we can do so the patient doesn't have to travel. You may have to travel that first time, you know, but you shouldn't have to travel after that. You should be able to get all the testing done you need close to home with community centers that are really state of the art, like the one you happen to be working with in Memphis. There's so many
to right now working with the FDA or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's one of the reasons why we merged with Lung Cancer Alliance. You know, we're out there and, you know, out here in California, and, you know, not close to DC where a lot of this regulation takes place, et cetera. And, you know, the Lung Cancer Alliance is excellent at it. And so, you know, by bringing our 2 entities together, we brought 3 entities together, and we're getting so much more done. We're getting so much more done. And, you know, LCA did other things besides just regulation. And can
you give a background a little bit about your Voices Summit that some of us on this call attended?
The one that you came to before, or the one that you're going to soon?
Well, no, the one in Washington, D.C. that typically we would go to Capitol Hill.
Oh yeah. Patients love it. I mean, I personally, you know, don't like going to Washington, D.C. and pounding on politicians' doors. I am not a politician lover, just so you know. It's a very difficult thing to do, but some people love it. And we have a summit, and we take them to, well, we Lori and the folks that do the regulatory work. They all go, they put their tennis shoes on, and boy, they bang on doors and they talk to people and they get things done, including the FDA and others, absolutely. Absolutely.
Grassroots. I like that.
Yeah, grassroots, totally.
Yeah. You can make a difference for your state, and they set up everything for you.
Right.
So you can talk to your senators and your House of Representative, and
Exactly.
you just have to, this last time it was great because we did Zoom calls, but I would highly recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
I wanted to just talk a little bit. One of the things that I think gives this group a lot of hope is just the research. And you guys do the lung cancer registry, which is patients really being able to give their own story and tell about their experiences with lung cancer so that we can learn more about it. You do the epidemiology of young lung. So we're trying to figure out why these people who are under 40 are getting lung cancer, typically never smokers, or, it does, like you said, it doesn't really matter why you got lung cancer. We have to figure out how to fix it. And so I just wanted you to talk about that.
The reason this study is so important, the epidemiology study, is because colon now has young people under 40 getting colon cancer, and other cancers are showing more. So what's going on? And we're going to find out. That's what an epidemiology study is. I think there's 250 questions you have to answer. And yes, it's laborious. You don't have to do it all at once. You can spread it over weeks. But, when you stop and think about what's different today than 20 years ago, and you start ticking the things off you, diet, young girls are starting to take birth control pills when they're 13 and 14 years old, and they're taking them longer because, and then that's creating another problem where they can't have children. So they're doing in vitro and all kinds of things. So that's one issue. There's so many diet, fast food versus healthy food. We're going to see, we're going to see. And that's what that epidemiology study is all about. It's just completely about why. And that's going to have a lot to do with people over 42, but you have to pick a number where you stop at. Otherwise, it's not a really specific trial.
There's a question in the chat from Wendy. Can you talk about the PAIR study through your organization?
That's not go-to, that's longevity.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
But I do have a question, and that's concerning the psychological effect of the progression going up and down and bouncing in and for 3 good years, and we progress, and then holding on, like Gina talked about earlier. Does GoTo offer any type of services at all to combat that?
Yes, we do through our helpline. That's one of the things, that we help and give patient referrals to people that they can talk to about that. We've had programs on our living room. Our living room is something we do once a month. We bring in a key opinion leader. Patients are actually in the room. They haven't been for almost a year now because of COVID, but we're going to start bringing them in slowly now. It's televised all over the world, 143 countries, and we've hit that subject many times. So in lots of different areas, yes.
Is that on YouTube?
Is that on YouTube? Living room, yes, it's on YouTube. Yeah, definitely.
We spoke to
Live
Dr.
too.
Levy.
Facebook Live and YouTube.
Great.
Wendy was just saying sorry. She heard about it at the Hope Summit, but it is hard to keep everybody, like separated, like who's doing what. But I think Bonnie just makes a great point that we're better together, and when we're all working together, that's how we're going to make a change.
Exactly. Yeah. And, we all have programs, and, ours is our clinical trial finder is called Lung Match. And we have a PhD on that line that will help a patient find exactly the right trial for them. And, you can't get that in a community hospital or sometimes even in a major hospital. because they promote their own trials and not always the best trial for you. So, you know, we have a lot of things going on to help patients, ton.
Absolutely. So yeah, it's a great place for resources. Go to, Ryan said he signed up for the study, and the study coordinator, Allison, said they wanted to see a lot more applications of people who are under 40. So
Yeah.
if you are under 40, this could help so many people for
Yeah.
us to really figure out, you know, the genomics of young lung. And the new study is called EPIC. Is that correct?
Epi.
Oh, EPI. I'm sorry, the EPI study.
Epi, short for epidemiology study.
So,
but they can find us on the Alchemy website, ALKMI, Addario Lung Cancer Medical Institute.org. And, you know, just call anybody in the, if you don't get help there, which you should very well get help. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it just about anywhere. I mean, we're out there constantly talking about it.
And Ken just wanted to know, Bonnie, how do you keep the cancer under control and stable that you have?
You know, I have no idea. I'm just one of those lucky ones, I guess, that, you know, and I get, you know, I do all that. The sexy voice is from one vocal cord. Yeah, but my husband thinks it's great that I only have one.
Well, we're coming up on the top of the hour, so I just wanted to just open it up to you, Bonnie, and just is there any closing words that you want to give our ALK community, and just to let us know?
Never give up. Never give up. Never give up asking your doctors questions. Never give up on second, third, fourth, and fifth opinions if you need them. Don't take no for an answer. You know, you do have to be, you know, we're advocates, we're here for you, but sometimes we don't hear from everybody and they're stuck out there alone and don't know what to do. Demand a scan. You know, if you're going in to find out why you have a cough and, you know, why you're not feeling well and short of breath, don't be afraid to advocate for yourself. That used to be a problem for our parents and our grandparents. They never questioned what a doctor said. And some of us learned, you know, to behave that way as well. No, if you have a doctor that is upset that you're asking for a second opinion, get out of there fast because you've got the wrong person.
Absolutely.
They shouldn't be afraid of you getting a second opinion.
Yeah, if you have a doctor who's afraid of you getting a second opinion, get a new doctor.
We
said that recently too. If somebody gives you an expiration date, it's time to get a new doctor.
Exactly. And anything you can do to drive people to the EPI study, we would be, you know, extremely grateful. And that is for everybody. It's not for just one marker. It's for everyone. So those are the things we need to do together, right?
Bonnie, would you mind giving us that website one more time?
Yeah, ALKMI.org.
So I'll type it on here,
Capital ALKMI.org.
There we go. So if anybody wants to participate in that EPI study, there's also the Lung Cancer Registry. If you get this book filled with hope, then you're going to also be donating to lung cancer research. And of course, for ALK positive patients specifically, there's Spacewalk where you can get free next-gen sequencing. So, so you can really look at the DNA of your cancer, figure out what's driving it so that you can get the best treatment. One of Bonnie's saying is, don't guess, test. And so anyway, you've been such an amazing advocate, Bonnie. We cannot thank you enough for your advocacy and what you've done to really move the needle for lung cancer. From the very beginning, you took the reins and really helped us all because you have a heart of gold and have just helped so many patients. So I wanted to just let everybody have the opportunity to take yourself off of mute. And if we could just tell Bonnie, thank you for her time and her advocacy and all that she does for lung cancer patients.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bonnie.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. You're all in great hands. I guarantee you. Anything this woman touches. Yeah, it is.
We
True.
love you so much, Bonnie. Oh,
Oh,
we didn't hear your grandchildren once, Bonnie.
There, I'm in my husband's, well, I'm not even going to show you this room, but it's soundproof. He does a lot of stuff in here. I don't know.
He's amazing. He's this big man, and like his hugs are the absolute best.
Yeah, he does hug well. He does good hugs. And he runs alchemy. So he's the one in charge of genomics of young lung and alchemy and spacewalk and all of those things. And I've decided I'm keeping him for at least one more year.
Well, thank you so much, everybody. Everyone have a great Sunday night. And Bonnie, thank you so much.
You're welcome, and have a great summit.
Okay, we will.
yes.
I
So
know
July 31st, register for the summit and look for an email coming out tomorrow with all the details.
There you go.
Friday pregame. Thanks,
That's
Bonnie.
coming
I
up.
really appreciate it.
That's coming
Do
quickly.
you want to come to the pregame?
Sure, why not?
Come on, yeah, have a drink with us.
I can play games. I can drink.
All right, good.
Bonnie does wine. Like
I do
really
wine.
good wine.
I do.
All right, all
I do.
right.
I'm good at wine. Yes.
Not whining, but just
Right.
wine.
Okay, you're all
All
darn.
right, we'll see you guys.
All right,
Bye.
good night.